Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Building the Back to the Future DeLorean. Haven't done one of these for a while. There's just so much going on with my tiny house build and the channel in general. Yeah, lots of things happening. But I am dedicated to finishing this build, and we will get through it sooner or later. So anyway, this episode we're going to be doing issue number 21. We're going to be combining this piece that I've built previously and this piece, which is the majority of the engine so far, along with a whole bunch of itty bitty little pieces that this issue came with. So yeah, I'm expecting this one to be a little bit challenging, but we'll see how it goes. As usual, I have both my screwdrivers from previous issues. This one is the one I got from issue number 1 and issue number 10. And my ever-present tweezers, so I can get a hold of the various screws. So here's all the itty bitty little pieces this sucker came with. And here's the build we're going to be following this episode. Should have a mostly completed engine by the time we're done here. And then we've got the more production diary notes. Looks like they're just talking about the movie hype and how it far exceeded everybody's expectations. And then some of the stuff he sees on the TV while he's watching TV with the family in the 50s. Not a whole lot of extra stuff in this issue. Usually there's quite a few articles. This one just has 2. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. So it looks like we're going to be starting with this piece here. I always keep all of my pieces in Ziploc bags when they're not being used, so that, you know, pieces don't fall out and I lose them, or they get scuffed up or dinged or any of that stuff. So that's just one of the things I do during this build. So it looks like we've got 2 of these pieces, and we're going to be using this one first. Let's just take a peek here and see if I can see which way it goes on. Looks like we've got these 2 pieces here. We line up with these 2 pieces here, so it should be facing in this direction. And it looks like the engine is also facing in this direction. So I'm guessing this is going to go on this little peg here. It's probably going to need to line up with that hole. So put it in just like that. And then we're going to screw it down, looks like with 2 FP screws. So go ahead and get those out. I'm not sure if you can hear the cat whining in the background, but he's been doing a lot of that since we moved into this tiny home out here, so bear with me because there is no way to shut him up. Okay, looks like I'm going to try screwing these in with the number 1 screwdriver here. Looks like that one is the better bet, so we'll see how that works out. Haven't been on social media much lately because I've been working so hard. But I went to the Build the DeLorean Facebook page today, and it looks like some of the folks over in, I think it's the UK, are finally completing their models. It looks like most of them are getting the final issues in the mail at this point. So that's pretty exciting. There's about somewhere around 130 issues, I think, on this model. So yeah, this is issue 21. I'd say we've got a long ways to go. At the rate I'm going, I'll be building this thing for the rest of forever, but that's fine. I've got so much material that I want to put on my YouTube channel. I just don't have the time to do all of it. But there's always something happy going on the YouTube channel. Okay, got that done, and it's tightened down, and it looks good. So we'll go ahead and go on to the next step here. Looks like we're going to be taking this piece, just based on this hole here. And then we've got so many itty bitty little pieces here. Looks like we got this one, and it's going to go just like that. And then we'll be screwing that down with 2 AP screws. For those of you who haven't been following along from the beginning on this build, keep your screws. Sometimes they give you extras, sometimes they don't give you enough. And keeping my screws has saved my behind more than once on this project. So my plan is to just keep everything until it's done. Holy moly, these are tiny. Looks like screw number 10 is going to be a little bit better on getting these in, so I'm going to use that one here. Of course, I'm dropping everything right away, like I normally do. I am very, very much a novice when it comes to building models and such. I do not claim to be good at this at all, but I'm actually surprised how far I've managed to make it with how complicated this build is. Generally these screws are magnetic, but for whatever the reason this one is not. So naturally it's giving me more problems. Okay, got that one in relatively snug. I'll tighten it down when I get the other one in. Okay, both of those are in nice and snug. There's our finished piece. Now we're moving on to this step, which looks like it's going to be this thing. And I don't know if you can see this on camera, but it's got a tiny little ridge right there. And that needs to line up with the ridge right here. So go ahead and get that put in. And then it needs another AP screw, so we'll stick with the screwdriver number 10 here. They're so freaking tiny. They're even tinier than I remember. That's pretty tiny. Okay, so that's going to go in like that. You know, without the screws being magnetized, this is really difficult. I guess I'm just going to have to hold it like this and just set the thing right over it. Okay, so there's our completed piece so far. Looks like now we're going to be moving over to these other weird little pieces here. Looks like we're going to be dealing with this one first. And then this other microscopic piece. Don't know if this is going to show up on camera, but we've got a little notch there and a hole here. That's going to line up the notch, goes in the little hole, and this one goes in the big hole, and we're putting a screw through that. Holy cow, this is going to be absolutely lovely. Okay, so this one's also going to take an AP screw. So we're going to have to do the same thing that we did before, where we just hold the screw upright and then try and get the piece over it, which is going to be even more difficult than the last one was. It's also noteworthy that these little pieces, while most of this model has been metal so far, these little pieces are plastic. So take extra care not to bust them up while you're putting them together. Okay, so now we've got maybe these are the same. Yeah, I guess they are the same. They look the same. So we got one of these. And looks like it's going to go into it like that, with the notch on the opposite side, like so. And it looks like we're going to be driving in the screws from... Okay, so I guess it's going to go together like this, because the screws need to go in from this direction with this little notch facing down, according to the diagram. So hopefully I'm going to be doing this correctly. And that's going to be 2 more AP screws. Okay, so according to the diagram, this should be the way it goes together. And we're just going to put the screws in there. And I'm still using the number 10 screwdriver, by the way. I don't know how a guy with big hands would put this thing together by himself. I have really small hands for a guy, and these screws just give me a terrible time. I would imagine that if you're a fellow with bigger hands, you're probably going to need to get your wife or your kid to help you get these in here. Oh, this is a nice little dilemma. Put the AP screw in there and it went all the way through without going into the hole on this. Well, we're going to have to unscrew that. I think I already know what I did wrong. Okay, so I was trying to put it together like this. You actually need to have this piece on top and that piece underneath, like so. And that should get it done. So we're going to try that again. That on top. Sheesh. Okay, well I got one kind of sorta in there. It's in there good enough that I should be able to get the other one in. So here we go again. You got to push real hard to get that screw in, and there's nothing to push against. Okay, well, there it is. I am 90% sure I got that put together correctly at this point. Hopefully I did. I guess we will find out a little bit ways down the road. So, now we get the honor and the privilege of going through all that again with another piece here. So it looks like this one's going to be the same, where the tab is out. It's going to go over the other piece just like this with AP screws once again. Here we go. Sure hope I'm putting these together right, because this is a huge pain. If I have to take all these apart, I'm not going to be happy. At least this one doesn't have all those weird things sticking out of it like the other one did, so it's a little bit easier to get a hold of. Yeah, that was a lot less of a hassle than the other one was. Alright. Same thing for the other side. And like the other one, this one is also plastic. So it's like I want to push hard on it to get the screws in there, but I don't want to break it either. Okay, so there we go. And that's up to here. So what do we got going on next? Looks like we're going to be taking this piece for the rear of the left cylinder head cover. Well, where the heck is that? It's not showing enough of the piece here for me to really know where it's going. So this looks like this. So what is this? Trying to find something that looks like that piece. It might not even be on this piece. It could be on this piece. The diagram on that is absolutely terrible. So let's see if we can find something that kind of sort of looks like. That's just wonderful. I'm not finding anything that even remotely resembles it. Okay, I think it might be this piece, actually. What's showing offside here kind of looks like this thing. And these ridges here look a lot like these ridges here. So, if I'm right, this is going to go, this piece right here is going to go in that hole right there. And then this side over here is going to go in this hole right here. And it's just going to sit there like that. If I'm wrong, well, then we're looking at disassembling this whole bloody thing. It looks like we got one AP screw. And I've been having some good luck with screwdriver number 10, so I will keep that one going here. This is going to go in that hole right there. It's ridiculous. Okay. Hold it like that. I think I'm going to leave this one a little bit loose so that I can finagle this thing a little bit with the next screw that's going to go in there. Hoping that I'm right, of course. Now, as you can see in the second diagram here, it looks a lot like this, so I'm pretty sure we're on the right track. And we need another AP screw. Starting to run out of AP screws. So this one's going to need to line up with that hole right there. Feels like it's going in. Giggity. Okay, now that I got both of them in, I'm going to get this one nice and tight. And then go back and tighten the other one. One thing I'm noticing right away is that this appears to be crooked. I'm not sure if that's going to affect us or not, since I've got no idea where this piece is going. But we're through that stage. So now it looks like we're going to be putting the other one on the back of it. this hole is going to line up with the hole here in the middle, like so. And then we'll be driving in the 2 screws here and here. Hopefully that will get this thing straightened out a little bit. Time will tell. So we're looking at more AP screws. And we'll stick with screwdriver number 10. These are all plastic pieces. So I'm trying to be as careful as I can and still get the screws in there. As you can see, this thing has already got a gap on this side, so that is not good. But, we'll see what happens here. There's not really anything I can do about it right now. We'll take another AP screw and put it in on the other side. And I left the screw on the other side loose so that I can maneuver this thing into position. Not very comfortable at all with the way this piece is going together so far. Okay, so we'll get that side nice and tight. And we'll go back and tighten this one. There you go. Now, to its credit, it did get rid of that gap quite a bit. There's still a little bit of a gap there, but it looks like it did straighten it out pretty good. Not sure if that's going to affect the build or not. All I can do is keep going. So I got both of these pieces done. So it looks like this thing is going to be going on to this at this point. I'm guessing it's going over here on the other side. That's where the screws are going. So, as before, we've got this little rod here in the middle, and a hole right there. So this should go on. Well, because of where the rod is, it can only go on in one direction, so I guess that's a good thing. Keeps me from getting messed up. Okay, so it's just going to pop in right there, and then we're going to screw it down with a couple of FP screws. I think with the FP ones I use screwdriver number 1, so we'll go back to that. I'm going to go ahead and put that one in nice and tight, because there's really only one way that this thing can go in. Okay, so that's what we got right there, and I am fairly certain that is correct. Now, that's all the tiny pieces from this thing, so looks like we're going to be taking this and screwing it onto here. How exactly is it going in? I guess just like that. So here's the really fun part. You got two screws that are going into the holes way back there and way back there. Just getting the screws down there is going to be a huge pain. Looks like we're looking at DM screws for this one. Let's just take a peek and see which screwdriver will fit those suckers. I think number 10 has a bit of a better fit. And with no magnetism on these, I can't even guide it in there, which means I got to hold this in place, turn it upside down, and just try and, nope, try and maneuver it into that hole. Did I get it? Feels like it's in there. Holy cow, I think it went in. That's what he said. Okay, well, that wasn't horrible, and that should have been the more difficult of the two, so let's see if I can get the other one to go in there. And it's in.